Okay, so it has been a while since I made a video in this format of me directly speaking to an audience on social issues and giving my much needed into the conversation opinion. I have been thinking about diving back into this format of video, but I've been cautious because something that has been looming on my mind, especially pressing, has to do with the transgender issue. But as I am somebody who does care about the queer community, I never wanted to just jump on this platform and just start, boom, going in, but I feel like now is the time. There is so much flawed reasoning and logic that is becoming violent and dangerous, not only to queer people, but to humanity in general. My biggest issues are allowing children to permanently mutilate and disfigure their bodies with no turning back. You may see this as gender affirming, which I will come back to later, because there's also arguments that gender and sex are not real. And if they're not real, then what is the basis for transitioning at all? So a lot of the language around transgenderism, but the binary, actually reinforce that there is a real binary, man and woman. And of course, there are people who are born maybe in between with an extra chromosome, but this is a scientifically backed up version of people who are intersex, and it is something that is scientifically verifiable. As for people who feel that in their head they are another sex or another gender, this is what we really need to dive into. Because in the past, if you were suffering from gender dysphoria, you received treatment for years to confirm that these type of gender changing surgeries would actually benefit your life. There is a very, 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 very small part of the population where their dysphoria is so severe that it will be beneficial to their lives and their survival if they transition. Ultimately, I still question these analyses, because what is it to say that I don't feel like a woman? And there have been many instances where I did not feel like a woman. And when I was younger, very impressionable, my mind was a mess. Something else I want to address is this term comfortable in skin. This is harmful not only to normal straight people, but also queer people. This assumption that if you aren't gay or if you aren't trans, that you are comfortable in your skin is gratefully untrue and harmful. Everybody in our society goes through feeling uncomfortable, weird. People want to kill themselves. People hate themselves, whether they are comfortable in their body, the gender that they're born in or not. People go through these feelings. The problem is what we're doing now is to queer, gay people, or even anyone questioning, saying, oh, you don't feel like a boy? Oh, you must be non-binary. Oh, that means you must transition. Oh, that means... Sometimes it is just a phase. And there's nothing to say that since you're a boy who maybe feels more comfortable dressing as what society says a woman dresses as, that you must be gay, or that you must transition, or that you're no longer a boy or a man. You see, these bases of what we're deciding for who is a woman, who is a man, is very shallow. So when we dive deeper into how is somebody feeling like a man or feeling like a woman, can you describe what that means to me? I could never describe what it feels like to be a man. Even when I fully identified as a tomboy, as a lesbian, and I really thought that I was something outside of the category of woman. Firstly, I needed to get sober. Second of all, I was in a community of people spewing the same ideologies, and at the time, I couldn't even defend them. Like, I would say things like sex is not real, But if somebody pushed me, I don't know how I would have defended that. And to be honest, we're coming to a point where this is violence against women. A lot of people on the woke side don't want to believe that this is actually happening, where women are getting beat, sometimes physically in sports, by someone who just decided last year that they feel like a woman. And so now we have to respect their pronouns. But what about respecting actual women? And I heard this term in the past. They call it radical something feminist. If you actually believe that women are biologically born women, deserve respect as a category of woman, as life givers, you're called, it's a term, they call it TERF. Like, you're a radical feminist if you believe this, and you're evil. So there's a lot of line drawing that goes on here and name calling, but I feel like we're getting to a dangerous point where there's this group of woke, left, liberal people where they think that everything that they think and say is right. And at this point, the basis for their information seems to be someone's college essay that everyone went wild with, college theories that people went wild with. Sis, how did this term become part of our everyday lexicon? I strongly disagree with this term. And actually, I'm still trying to figure out what the word for this is, not like a double speak, but now we're coming up with outside categories for woman. It's called cis. I find that to be extremely disrespectful, not only to me as a woman, but to humanity. So I think we're doing this thing where we're really twisting logic and saying anything goes. And I'm going to come back to this woke liberal group of people that I used to be a part of. So I grew up in California, went to a liberal arts high school. I then went to school in New York. I used to be somebody who, if somebody didn't agree with me, I would get triggered. I wouldn't be able to hear their side of the argument. But around the time where my thinking started to change is when I started to question Barack Obama, and I got canceled. So Obama, just like any other sitting president, played a part in US imperialism, but was actually quite worse because no one was allowed to criticize him and the amount of drones he was dropping on civilians. Now we have ties to him and WikiLeaks, pedophilia, the Clintons, and there's a group of people, you can't even begin to touch these subjects with them because they're so brainwashed to the left, to the liberal side, and claim to be woke, but you're still defending genocide and imperialism when you defend Obama. Just because he's black doesn't change any of that. I'm black, and you guys still try to cancel me when I am speaking truth. So amongst this group of people, they also canceled me in 2020 when I started speaking out against the vaccine, against COVID, against the lockdown, which is one of the biggest crimes, actually is the biggest crime against humanity that we've witnessed in our real lifetime. Suicide, domestic abuse, people isolated and killed in hospitals, people dying from aggressive and new forms of cancers from this vaccine, which was predicted to happen. Everything that conspiracy theorists said during 2020 actually has verifiable proof now, which we did at that time, and still crickets. These people have now moved on to the next thing, which is hating everything Trump does, which is something I don't even have to go into this video. I don't even have to speak his name to continue to make these points that I'm making. But I wanted to get on here and speak and put my voice back into the public sphere because I feel like some people, their mouths are running wild and there are certain voices dominating the public conversation, and there is so much more nuance that the left and these people will never understand. And as somebody who used to be on that side, people try to cancel me, and now I'm sort of occupying, I don't know, I'm occupying this space that feels the most true and most authentic. I'm not following whatever SNL tells me to believe, or CNN, or AOC. And I used to be brainwashed in that way, and it feels so good to actually finally be a free thinker. And I just want to fully make this video to say that no matter what people try to do or how they try to cancel me, it's not possible, babe. This is my land. I'm an Indigenous woman. I really think about these things that I say before I say them. I'm open to conversation with people who have differing opinions from me. In fact, most of the people I know have very different opinions from me. And guess what? We can still talk and be cordial with each other, but at the end of the day, I still need to say everything I need to say to defend the comments people see that I make, and maybe they don't understand them. Meaning does depend on context, so I will give everyone that. And the meaning of everything I say depends on the context of my entire life. Of a woman who grew up in the San Fernando Valley, in a heavily Latino population, as an Indigenous and Black woman who then went to a liberal arts high school with privileged kids and then went to NYU, dropped out for a bit, went crazy into the party scene, came back into life, had my disillusionment with academia, came back into it, went on a pilgrimage to my tribal land, saw so many things with my eyes that fully changed my perspective and who I am today. And so yeah, I just want to say I had to get this off of my chest. I know I spoke about a lot of points, and if anyone wants to zero in on any of those, I'm happy to discuss it, but I'm not going to allow anyone, especially people younger than me, people who are, like I said, it feels like somebody's college essay went wild in the public sphere and we're all just blindly following that. And I'm not going to allow people who don't think critically to paint me as somebody that I'm not, or people who don't know me to paint me as somebody that I'm not. I constantly lose followers, and I don't really pay attention to those numbers, but in a way I do, to see which topics trigger people still. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't find anything that I'm saying controversial, but people lose their minds. For many years, I have been anti-Israel. I don't support Israelis. I don't support Zionism. And I feel like sometimes in the past, me being vocal about that, people looked at me sideways. And now, here we are, where we're realizing that Zionism is evil and wrong. So I think everyone needs to take a step back and look at these past 4 years and how much stuff that we thought was true that turned out to not be true has been revealed. So before you hold so steadfast to what the TV has told you to believe on either side, calm down. Go outside, work out, fast, volunteer, give to your neighbor, talk to that person on the other side of the political spectrum without yelling. Try to understand their perspective. This is to be continued, and thank you so much for watching. I'm ending this abruptly because I know there's so many other topics that is going to offshoot from this. I just wanted to say my foundation, get this off my chest, and happy Saturday. I do love everyone. Turn off the TV. Don't give in to fear. Fear is a frequency that our reptilian overlords are feeding off of. And if reptilian overlords is a statement that is just so beyond you or makes you not want to pay attention to the rest of what I'm saying, that's on you, babe. The revolution has already begun. It's in the mind.